Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
Welcome back to Going in Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. We have got a jam-packed episode because a lot has been going on in the world of pro wrestling. Not only do we have your AEW Dynamite review with the return of Kenny Omega, not only do we have your NXT New Year's Evil review with new champions, and throw your L's up for the final boss. The Rock showed up to cut a promo where he talked about the criticism directed towards the Raw on Netflix promo, but we've also got we've got like this weird, name your favorite, who's your favorite surrealist painter, Larson?
Wow.
Who's the guy who did all the staircases that went all sorts of places?
Oh, that was Escher.
Who's that guy? Usher, yes. Usher.
Yeah.
Usher, is that what it is? Escher. Usher's the pop star. Yeah. MC Escher, that's who we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. We've got the MC Escher of viewership data to talk about on today's episode because people want to know, man, now that we don't have those Nielsen's anymore, we've got a bunch of different things coming in, including we don't know. We're going to try to talk about it. But first, actually, let's do this one first. I know it's like third in your notes here, but he's first from left to right on the thumbnail anyways. Another day, Larson, another report that Malachi Black is done with AEW.
Hold on. I mean, time's ticking on him showing up on Instagram Live disputing all this. So let's just wait. But until then.
Oh, yeah, the Instagram.
That's usually what happens. There's reports. He gets on social media, records a video, and says, "If you didn't hear it from me, don't believe it." Essentially, so
right, exactly, yeah. I wonder if I could bring him. into the conversation here. Hold on a second. You know what? I'll just do it right now. Here, let's do this. Here we go. Oh, shoot. Oh, wait. Oh, nah, it's not going to work. Darn it. Maybe later. I'll bring him in.
All right. Anyway, so after Will Ospreay beat Buddy Matthews opening bout in Dynamite this week, Ospreay told Buddy, "Hey, you don't need a leader. Neither you nor Brody need a leader. If you need someone in your corner, I'm your man." So, of course, when he says no leader, he's referring to Malachi Black.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. You know, House of Black, Malachi's the leader. Anyways, Fightful Select looked into Malachi's AEW status. We're told by sources that Malachi was either finishing up with AEW or he might have finished up already. Regardless, in a subsequent update, Fightful stated that Malachi, quote, was not expected back in AEW. So the expectation, it seems like, amongst people backstage is that he's done. He ain't coming back. Now, unless he hops on Instagram Live or Twitter to dispute this in the coming minutes and hours. I don't know. I mean, we'd heard prior, I think it was Fightful as well, reported that there was potentially option years on his deal, which could keep him there as late as 2027. Apparently, Tony Khan, if this comes to pass, has declined to pick up those options. And there's possibility that Malachi either will be or is a free agent.
Yeah.
Have you managed to get a hold of him to have him comment on this?
Yeah. You know what? I'll bring him in right now.
Sure.
And we'll see what he has to say about this. All right. So we're going to go ahead and bring,
about it. I'm not sure what to expect.
We have Malachi here on the horn with us, Larson.
All right.
And this is very, very exciting stuff here. Let me bring him in.
I see him. He's right there.
I can get, well, yeah, you can see him. You get the preview. I'm sure we go. Hello, hi. Oh shit.
Oh my goodness.
Malachi Black. No, now, Aleister Black. I am ready to appear in the Rumble of the Royals and resume my program with Big E, which I set up in my final appearance in the Federation.
So, Malachi,
years ago.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Unfortunately, E, a number of years ago, had an unfortunate accident.
Yes, he got struck down by my Black Mass on my way out the door.
No, after that though, after he was actually world champion.
Yes.
Unfortunately, he was in his neck broken during a match. His neck was broken during a match, unfortunately, and so he's not wrestling currently. We don't know if he'll.
Then I will take it to his teammates of the Day of New, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Big E ate my heel when he took the black mass, and I'm sure the New Day, his best friends, good guys or bad guys, will come to his defense when I return. Ready-made.
That seems unlikely given what happened a few weeks back, but
I want a fat paycheck to sit in a room. How about that?
Well,
can I do that?
Maybe be able to work that out.
I gotta go. I got things to do.
I'm sure you do. Goodbye.
Cut out pretty quick there.
Oh, yes, you did.
I gotta go. I got things to do. What has he got to do? He ain't doing shit right now.
He's got some Call of Duty to stream or something. I don't know.
This guy, he's got to catch up on his WWE. It sounds like Larson.
Maybe
he's
got some research to do. Anyways,
got a little bit.
Yeah, I'll keep your eyes peeled for his social media because on the off chance he does a video disputing any of this stuff, I guess if he doesn't, then maybe there's a little more credence to it.
That's actually a really good point. If he doesn't get on Instagram Live and say this is all bullshit. Is the last time we saw him? It wasn't the Cole thing, was it? He was there after that, right?
No, that was the last. No, yeah, with the Adam Cole thing where he like seemingly said goodbye.
Yeah, he did.
No, we've seen him since then.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we have.
Look, man, I would love during the Royal Rumble to hear. No man is
ever truly good.
Oh man, that was a one of one theme song. I love that theme song.
It was really good, but as a CFO $ one, so they might not use that.
Man, what a bummer that would be. I love that theme song.
Good
Just
one.
re-record it with somebody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think he'd be welcome into the WWE. You'd think, but we'll find out. We'll find out. I'd love to see it though. I'd love to see it, especially given that, like, man, boy, oh boy. So he debuted in July of 21, I think it was.
Sounds right.
I think it was July of 21. And yeah, besides him being on Cody Island for that first month or so, like, boy, he was on Trios Island.
Yeah,
for like the longest time.
Massive ball drop from AEW.
Big ball drop.
When Alistair was in NXT, he had like unlimited mystique.
He did. Yeah.
And it seemed like he was poised to be a future world champion on the main roster. Mm-hmm. Of course, when he got up to main roster, he was stuck in a room for a year.
Yeah.
And that just sapped any momentum he had coming up. So
it was horrible. So yeah, Tom Budgen, hopefully he lands wherever he wants to land. Hopefully he does whatever he wants to do.
Exactly. All right, let's talk WWE main roster first. Then we could talk NXT viewership and ratings.
Cool.
So, we talked extensively about how difficult it is to get a good measure of how many people are watching Raw on Netflix. I know Netflix has their own like third-party viewership data thing.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of that? I have the Variety article up here. It is Video Amp. That's what it is.
Video Amp.
Yeah. So, WWE and Netflix released some viewership numbers for the premiere of Raw, the streaming platform, stating that Raw's Netflix debut was viewed by 4.9 million people globally, according to the Variety article where I got these numbers from. That 4.9 million views comes from the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and Latin America.
Mm-hmm.
And Raw was watched by 2.6 million households in the U.S. And these are the live +1 numbers for comparison. Again, according to Variety, Raw was watched by 1.2 million households in 2024 while on USA Network.
That was the average.
Average.
Okay. Was that the average? Is that what they're saying?
Households, yes.
Households. Yes. Okay. So yeah, this is one of those things. I made the joke about the MC Usher paintings.
I'll say this. It's hard. So if 4.9 million globally encapsulates the United States, and then you see the 2.6 million households, and usually more than one person lives in a household.
True. Yeah, especially these days. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Even if two people live in a household, average.
Yeah, but how many
That's
WWE?
more than 4.9.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Okay, here's my supposition, Larson.
Sure, give it to me.
Yes, typically there are more than one people per household.
Typically, yeah.
How many households have multiple WWE fans, though? I don't know if the whole family typically sits around, hey, let's watch some cringy Bobby Lashley, this is your life segments.
Yeah. No, I understand that. So, I mean, I don't know how many viewers per household, like what's the conversion there?
Yeah, so
is it 1.25 viewers per household?
Let me let's try to bottom line this a little bit.
Sure.
All this data that we just got.
Yeah.
You think it's better than being on USA Network or not as good as being on USA Network?
I'm sure there's pros and cons to each situation.
No, man. I said bottom line it. We need the bottom line, not the pros and cons. We need the bottom line.
If WWE wants to be the #1 global brand in the world of professional wrestling, the idea of being able to broadcast Raw live around the world, I could see how that would be something they'd really want to hang their hat on. Look, anybody anywhere in the world who has a Netflix account can watch Raw at the same exact time. And I would see why that would be enticing for them, if nothing else, from a marketing perspective.
I mean, Netflix has given them a very big sort of leg up, if you will. You look at the top 10 and they're ahead of Squid Games. They were #1 yesterday. I didn't check where they are today necessarily.
I checked this week and there was no Raw. I checked on the Tudum thing.
Tudum.
And there was no
is it still NFL on the top? Because they
changed it.
One thing that WrestleNomics did indicate, though, they heard back from Netflix and they are eligible to be in that. So I just think it hasn't happened for them yet. Like that
could be.
That hasn't been updated for that thing yet.
No, it hasn't. No, because globally, #1 is Missing You limited series. I don't know what that is.
Okay, so as of right now, it's down to #8.
Is that on their splash page?
It's on the splash page. It's not what you're talking about.
No,
it's on because
different.
the Tudum thing has numbers. This is a Jerry Springer documentary is #1. Squid Game is #2. Strong. Something called Missing You is #3. A Gabriel Iglesias special is at #4. Something called The Breakthrough is at #5. #6 is I Am a Killer, which looks like it might be a docuseries about, maybe not. Oh, crap. That's a true crime show. Virgin River is #7. And then Raw is #8.
All right.
So whatever all that means.
Yeah. I'll keep tabs on the Tudum thing and see if it pops up.
You got to think, Jack Bauer says #4 now on Netflix, so who knows what any of this means.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got to think, though, man. I mean, all in all, they're on USA with SmackDown. I would think that being on Netflix and USA is probably more of a positive than being on USA and Fox, which they were prior to the Fox deal ending. I would think that's the case because Netflix is the top streamer. So, probably a good thing for WWE. We'll see where they end up on this top 10 and on the other rankings.
Mm-hmm.
4 weeks from now, we'll see what the
That's
situation
the thing.
is.
If the idea is broadcasting Raw on a platform with the global reach of Netflix, given the press push in advance, if they can sustain that, book 3, 4, 5 consecutive Raws that are pretty intriguing, then, if they can bring in viewers week after week, even if it's just a handful week after week, and see some actual growth, not to mention they got potentially a $5 billion check from Netflix.
Well, and that's also gonna behoove Netflix to push Raw because we spent a shit ton of money on this. We want to get eyeballs on it.
Exactly.
So W.S. Fletcher says it's regional, those rankings. So that's interesting. I wonder what.
Oh, the ones on the splash page.
I'm assuming so. That would make some amount of sense.
All right, that makes sense.
That would make sense.
That would make sense.
Yeah, man, those freaking Netflix algorithms. Oh boy.
Yeah, they're granular.
Super sophisticated.
Yeah.
Very sophisticated.
In other viewership news, let's talk NXT. So we had The Rock on New Year's Evil.
Final boss, really blowing
He had
things up.
three championship matches.
Mm-hmm.
And all that led to NXT getting its largest viewership number in 5 years. Nearly 1 million viewers. 957,000 tuned in to the CW to watch NXT.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge numbers.
I was pretty shocked when I saw this because that is less than 50,000 to a mil.
Yeah, it's about, 300,000, 250,000, 300,000 more than usual.
It's Dwayne. He had a good, 8-minute promo or so the Tuesday night. So to punctuate the New Year's Evil. So yeah, I thought that's great for NXT. I thought the venue looked great. I thought that they're launching the new year with 2 new champions with Obafemi and Julia. So yeah, we're gonna have a lot to talk about with all that. But Larson, before we do all that, we should probably pay some bills. What do you say?
We should. Let's take a quick break here. Get a word from our sponsor, DraftKings Pick 6. Steve, the NFL playoffs are here. Yes! The time is running out to play DraftKings Pick 6. As the official daily fantasy sports partner of the NFL, DraftKings does fantasy sports like no one else.
That's right. Getting started with Pick 6 is super easy, too. All you got to do is select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat, like touchdowns, yardage, sacks, and more. And get this. DraftKings is now making it even sweeter for first-time players. New Pick 6 customers play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits.
So win more cash on Pick 6. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app and use code RAW. That's code RAW for new customers to play $5, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
That's right. Now we've got a couple of disclosures from DraftKings Pick 6, so we'll take it away, Mr. Bob Disclosures.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 30 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, and we've got another sponsor for today's show as well, Larson.
We do. And this episode of Going in Raw is sponsored by BetterHelp. With the new year comes 365 blank pages waiting to be filled with the story of your year. While resolutions might not last past February, you can still pick up the pen and become the author of your own life.
And therapy can be your editorial partner, helping you write new chapters and create the story that you want to live.
My story was, to be honest, quite a bummer in my mid-20s. I was dealing with severe anxiety. I was kind of doing a whole lot of nothing with my life when I realized that I had to go to therapy. Therapy helped me learn the tools I needed to better cope with my anxiety and help me write the story of the life that I wanted to live.
And if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable and convenient, serving over 5 million people worldwide. With BetterHelp, you can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties and easily switch therapists at any time for no extra cost.
So write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/raw today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. HELP.com/raw.
All right, man. So, you want to talk about some AEW?
Yeah, let's talk about Dynamite.
Oh, come on. Hey, buddy. Okay, cut. Larson, can we do that one with a little bit more verve, a little bit more enthusiasm and excitement?
About what?
The line reading just then.
Which line do you want me to read?
Sorry, let me get the script.
Line.
Yes, now we can talk about Dynamite.
You may do that enthusiastically?
Yes, please.
Oh, gosh, you have to give me a moment.
I'd really drum up some excitement, and maybe go back to, I know you're a method guy, maybe go back to your favorite Christmas when you opened up the brand new Commodore 64.
Yes, let's talk about AEW.
Right.
Is that the line?
Yes, yeah.
All right,
okay,
all
roll camera.
Ready?
Sound.
All right.
Slate. Action Larson.
There you go.
Action
there
Larson.
Go. Yes, let's talk about Dynamite, Steve. There we go.
Cut. Nailed it. Nailed it. Time for lunch, everybody.
Oh, that was exhausting to do.
You really had to pull, didn't you? Hey, Kenny Omega came back.
I know. Kenny's back.
Him and
Kenny's
Will
great.
Ospreay.
Yeah, the idea of a Kenny and Ospreay partnership is intriguing. Even if it's a tenuous alliance, it's still intriguing. You know, kind of the last thing I want to see Kenny doing is feuding with Don Callis family. We've seen that plenty, but
I did appreciate the quickness with which he attacked Don Callis, though.
yeah, that was funny.
That was pretty good.
You know, I think what they're doing with Toni Storm and what Toni Storm is doing with this iteration of her character is really good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
You know, because you have this triple threat match. Like, well, it's Toni Storm. Of course she's going to win. And not only does she not win, she gets pinned. And like, oh, no, that makes sense. Her character believes that she's a rookie to AEW. And in the promo afterwards, after she loses, was like, I'm not ready for this. Mm-hmm. And like, oh, all right. They're just not. I guess the worry I had with the Toni Storm thing, not worry, is it seemed like their approach to this character now, it's going to take time for her to get back in the title program. But if she wins this Gauntlet match next week and is getting the title shot in about a month's time, kind of seems like they're rushing it, you know?
Well, they got a deadline to meet, and that is her home territory. That's what they gotta.
You know, I suppose that could be the case, but you know, who's to say that she's not in the title match? I'm just putting this out there. If they're committed enough to the story, she's not in the title match, and instead has another match against I don't know who. So she's on the card, but not winning the title there. I would be surprised by that, but you know, I would have been surprised by that. But at this juncture, if that's the route, I'm like, all right, I get it in terms of the story they're telling.
Yeah. I don't know. They've got a month. They've got a whole month.
Yeah.
It's. I don't know. I don't even know. Like, I appreciate that there is still the mystery. The thing about Tony Island is that I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt that
Absolutely.
they'll get to the point by the time they need to get to the point. And I think the point is going to be the title. But I don't know. You could be right, man. I mean, it's entirely possible that they do have a longer thing planned. I just think that, man, they're going to go to Australia this one time, probably not go back anytime soon. So you probably want to do it there.
That makes all the sense in the world. It really does. From a marketing standpoint, it makes all the sense in the world.
If they keep her, dude, if they keep her on Dynamite, and she's been doing Collision lately, I mean, that's 8 opportunities prior to the actual show that they can sort of accomplish this. It's interesting to me that the approach here is one that we've seen a lot over the long time of pro wrestling storytelling. And that's the crisis of confidence. But it's told within the context of, a wrestler typically when they experience a crisis of confidence, they kind of got to go back to their roots. They got to find what works again, what worked in the first place. Well, she's literally doing that now as a previous iteration of her. And either it is a performance which is informed by that or an actual identity crisis in the form of a crisis of confidence. And I think you and I are both on the same page in that there's a lot they could explore with that. Mm-hmm. But they got this show coming up where it makes all the sense in the world for it to be there, that it all comes to fruition. So It is an interesting, point, counterpoint, whatever you want to call it, dichotomy, whatever. But yeah, so it is going to be interesting because it has been an interesting story developing for Toni Storm, and I can absolutely appreciate that, and that is definitely one of the positives. I think, like, from a big picture, though, one thing that you and I have been critical about AEW from a macro standpoint is they start one thing and then they go to something else. And if you look at some of the things happening, you've got Cope in a feud with Mox, who now has a new number 1 contender that isn't Cope.
And it's not only that, Cope and FTR are also feuding with Learning Tree.
Which is a whole other thing. Yeah, right.
So it's like, all right, you're going to have...
So Cope and Jericho are going to have a match.
Well, it's Cope and Bill, and then Dax and Jericho are having a match on Collision.
Right. I'm sorry. I mean, long term, they're going to get to. They're building towards Cope and Jericho while they're building towards Cope and Mox. Meanwhile, Hobbs is the number one contender. So now, in my mind, a guy that I love, Will Hobbs, has been fast-tracked to number one contendership when I know full well that the big pay-per-view match is going to be the Cope-Mox thing, which I also know Mox is going to win.
Because they've announced the title match is happening next week.
Right, exactly. So it's like, why do I have any inkling to believe that Hobbs has any chance against Mox? So that's like one thing. And the last week, you had Jeff Jarrett saying, put me in this Gauntlet match. And kind of, I thought it was an interesting approach. He doesn't even get in the Gauntlet match, which is the risk of the Gauntlet match. But then they spin him off into an MJF thing, which I can wait and see how that plays out.
Yeah, that doesn't concern me as much as there's just, for a lot of stories, there's just not a clear through line with what they're trying to accomplish. You bring up the Cope one. His sights are obviously set on taking on Mox. It's going to be at Revolution. That's 2 months worth of story you could tell. It should be FTR and him in a variety of tag matches or singles matches, whatever, against the Death Riders. You can have time to do that and do that relatively effectively. But then, parallel to that, for some reason, Rated FTR also feuding with Learning Tree. But what is that supposed to accomplish as it relates to Cope's title program against Mox?
Are they trying to juice up the Ring of Honor TV deal by having Mox beat Jericho? I'm sorry. Mox.
Cope?
Edge. Cope. Thank you. Beat Jericho? Is he going to walk into Revolution against Mox? See, here's the thing is that, like, yes, I would love to talk about the intricacies of the story being told, but it's so much shit being thrown at the wall.
Yeah.
I guess to see what sticks. And that's why we're like running around in circles, like not really analyzing, critiquing the bits of the story because it's kind of all over the map.
It's really all over the map. And yeah, it's hard to get into the minutia of one story when seemingly in the main event, people are involved in 2 or 3 stories simultaneously. And it's like, well, which one is the one that we, the viewer, are really supposed to be invested in?
Yeah, right. Where's the focus?
Yeah.
Because the focus of the story is going to be our focus as the viewer. And right now we're looking in 5 different directions when it comes to your world title briefcase attaché case.
Yeah. And if your stories lack focus, then what are we supposed to focus on?
Right, exactly. Another example of this is the tag title scene. Right now, Private Party has the tag titles, and during their party, they're interrupted by the Hurt Syndicate. And my first reaction was, oh, shit, Hurt Syndicate's here. And then my immediate follow-up reaction was, they're going to go after the tag titles? They were just on Swerve Island. What happened to that island? That spun off onto Ricochet's just on Swerve Island now, which was actually really funny during the Gauntlet match when Ricochet's music began with Who's House. I thought that was awesome, and Ricochet is one of the things to keep an eye on in AEW.
Yeah, I don't know. You got Private Party who got brought into the Death Riders thing early on. Mox smashed Isaiah Cassidy's hand with the hammer.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
With the idea that it would... I mean, the whole thing was, hey, Mox said this. Mm-hmm. You're in the same spot you were 5 years ago. And between that and a talk from Amazing Red, one loss to the Young Bucks later, Private Party wins the tag titles. And maybe this is a story they're telling. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like anything Private Party learned over the course of their journey to get the tag titles is really still a part of their story, unless that is the story. If the idea is, hey, They were, motivated by Mox, by Amazing Red, to win these tag titles. Got comfortable, got back into old habits, and lose the titles. All right, fair enough. I get it. The hope is that there's a follow-up story where Private Party learns, we can't do that, which I'm pessimistic AEW is going to tell. But it's simply a situation where we have this story to lead to the tag team title change and Private Party wins. We don't really have anything for you after that. Lose the titles to Hurt Syndicate without necessarily a follow-up story. And guess what? Private Party still is in the same spot they were 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So what have they really gained by winning those tag titles?
Right. Now, yeah, and then there's sort of like another layer of issue there in that if they do prove that they have found that thing that Mox wanted them to find, it's going to be at the cost of Bobby and Shelton, two of the more powerful members of the roster, two guys who really should be being booked. Like Shelton should be. I mean, dude, I don't know. I'm honest to God, I'm trying not to be like shitting on this. I'm really not.
I don't want to do that either. Part of me is like, I watched the show. I'm scratching my head at a couple of things. This is us talking it out and trying to make heads or tails of it. That's what I feel like this is. I'm not trying to dump on anything.
And I'm
not
trying
to
see like,
if there's something there that I'm just not seeing that will be the connective tissue that this will all make sense.
Like on one hand, it's like glass half full. Oh man, Bobby might be getting gold in AEW, elevating the tag titles in AEW.
Yeah.
But the point was for Private Party to elevate those tag titles. And if they do that at the cost of Bobby and Shelton should not be taking losses in title matches. Shelton should be going for, as Panis Olin here says, for Garcia's title.
Yeah, that's
I think they were teasing that.
They were.
And Bobby should be in an epic feud right now with Swerve, who has been spun into a Ricochet thing. And I was like, oh man, MVP and Swerve Island together doing some cool shit. I thought that would be, something that Tony Khan would be on board with, and maybe they would all craft this really cool story together. And now it's like, okay, well, are they going to get the tag titles? That just seems like another case of Tony Khan being like, hey, I want to get some titles on Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin because they're badasses, which they are.
It feels
but
like
the Private Party thing needs to be reconciled.
I don't feel like it's just that, because I think that's part of it. But he wants Bobby and Shelton to get some championships without changing course on anything else he might have planned regarding
things had been
titles.
set up. Things had been set up.
So I don't know. I mean, it seemed like Bobby, Shelton, MVP were going to be involved in an interesting story with Swerve and also Ricochet with what they were setting up. And it's a situation where if you tell that story effectively, it has some awesome matches. That elevates everybody involved without titles being in play.
Well, on the flip side of that, on the tag title situation, I thought it was kind of cool that Private Party, and I know they've been around since 2019, but I still think of them as like, and because this is to Mox's point, as sort of like younger dudes who, have some stuff to prove. And with their match on Collision, for example, which I thought was a very good match. I actually watched it against Leo Rush and
Action
Andretti. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. The tag titles are kind of skewing younger now, or at least like they're doing something cool with them with like dudes who aren't as featured as maybe they should be, putting them on Collision, a show that isn't as watched, to add some excitement and to use the tag titles. Everybody kind of benefits from that. And you're building up a younger tag division to be future cornerstones of the company. And now you're kind of putting them in a couple of older dudes' hands if they're actually gonna win this.
Yeah.
Now maybe I'm just assuming too much, and Private Party's gonna beat Shelton and Bobby, and it's gonna be. I know.
You know what? No, what we're assuming is that this is all actually going to happen.
What?
Where 2 weeks from now, Bobby could set his sights on something.
Don't worry about it because they're gonna drop it.
Yeah, you can't just like say that's not a possibility. You know,
you can't assume they're gonna follow up with what happened this week, next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was 3 weeks ago. It looked like Shelton was going to be challenging Daniel Garcia for that TNT title. Have they had any interaction since?
That's a good point.
I mean, it's a situation where Tony Khan is just like, "Hey, we're laying the groundwork for stuff."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if it's we'll tease something, not do anything with it, and then 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, go back to that and say, "Ha, look, we set this up months ago."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. But then you got a situation, we talked about this, about what is Kenny going to do between now and July when he wrestles Okada. At least we got an answer to that somewhat.
Yeah, so let's talk about that because that is first technically on the notes. I know we're, much like AEW, we're kind of all over the map right now. So let's focus on Kenny Omega, his return. Of course, he had his big Gabe Kidd match at Wrestle Dynasty. It was a killer match.
Let me ask you this, because I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. How different did Kenny approach that match than he would have maybe 5 years ago? Because he referenced in his promo that he might not be able to wrestle the same way he used to.
I mean, he's a step slower than he was in 2017. But he was getting there even before the diverticulitis. It was a very physical match.
Okay.
It was basically him meeting Gabe Kidd, kind of more on Gabe Kidd territory. And I thought it benefited from that. It was a very physical match.
Yeah.
And so he comes out, he has a promo. This main event's the show. This was the last segment of the show. He says it was he gives us the backstory on the diverticulitis thing. He says, I checked myself into a hospital, and he says, they took 2 feet of my intestines, and they had told me, the doctors had said, if I hadn't checked into the hospital when I did, I'd be dead now. He says, it's been a roller coaster ride. He says, upon a successful surgery, I had 2 questions for the doctors. How long is my recovery, and when can I get back in the ring? And the doctor said, you'll be lucky if you can return to a normal way of life, much less get back in the ring, much less get back to the Kenny Omega you used to be. He says, as a pro wrestler, you tend to push things too hard. He said, I ended up going back into the hospital 4 more times, 4 weeks each time. He says, I asked myself if it was even worth it anymore. Could I even do it? There was a moment of time when I thought giving up was the safest option. He says, when I considered that, I asked, what was my purpose then if I don't have you people with me? He says, I tested that a few days ago, just like I tested myself tonight. If I'm not here in this ring, I'm just not living. If I can't show that Kenny isn't the god of pro wrestling, then I'm not living. And then he's interrupted by the Don Callis Brown note.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, look who's back from the dead. And before he could even finish a sentence, Kenny bolts out of the ring, attacks him, and starts laying into him. Out come Archer and Cage. They bring him to the ring. Kenny tries to fight them off. Kyle Fletcher slides into the ring, punches Kenny right in the gut. And, of course, that's going to be his thing now because of the diverticulitis holding his gut like this.
Yeah.
And so Cage is about to hit Kenny with a powerbomb. Will Ospreay rushes out. He had a match earlier in the night against Buddy Matthews, a really great one.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Made the save with a chair. Kenny gets to his feet. Ospreay sort of holds the chair like he's going to whack him, but he doesn't. He puts it down, and he's like, I just saved your ass. And Kenny's like, oh, you saved me. And so that's how we end with Kenny and Ospreay on the same page. These guys had a match of the year, I think my match of the year, a couple of years ago at Wrestle Kingdom. Just a really phenomenal match with those guys.
Yeah.
They had 2 that year, and it was just really awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get Kenny and Ospreay, two of AEW's probably AEW's 2 biggest baby faces in there. So yeah, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen next with that.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to assume tag matches, Kenny and Ospreay taking on Archer and Cage, Fletcher and Takeshita. And, it answers the question, at least at first, what is Kenny going to do before the Okada match?
I think Kenny versus Fletcher. Do you think there's a possibility that's the Revolution match?
Could be.
Because that's a match right there. That's a big match right there.
Yeah.
Especially, well, obviously for Fletcher, but like the actual match itself is going to be great.
Yeah, I guess we have Revolution in early March.
Right.
And then Double or Nothing, of course.
Mm-hmm.
End of May.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be one of those 2.
Could be. I would think probably sooner than later. I don't know that Kenny's going to do a ton of Dynamite matches.
Yeah, I know he said he's going to be there every week in that ring, but I don't think he's going to be wrestling a bunch.
Not like he
certainly
used
not
to.
singles matches. Maybe an occasional tag match on Dynamite.
I think tags and trios is going to be his thing. Because they've got Archer, they got Cage, they got Fletcher. Who's a third for Kenny and Ospreay? Because they're going to do a trios.
That is a good question.
Who's friendly with Ospreay? I know somebody in chat will know. I know there's somebody like obvious that we're missing out on right now.
Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, Mark Briscoe. There you go. Perfect. Yeah.
I mean, I think an intriguing option would be Hangman Adam Page. But I don't know if that's going to happen.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Oh, people are saying Buddy. If Buddy and Ospreay.
Mark Davis, he can eat the pin.
There you go, Mark Davis.
Mark
He
Davis.
will be there to eat the pin, yes.
Yeah, there's some decent names. Yeah, the Buddy thing is going to be interesting. I kind of feel like Buddy is going to do the tag thing, especially if Malachi is gone. So yeah, W.S. Fletcher here became a member, now officially for 69 months. Nice. He says, "I'm officially a 69er, brother." Well, thank you very much, W.S. Fletcher. Appreciate it.
Yes.
That is awesome. Of course, he's participating in the Big Blue Predictions Challenge. The hat, which you, Larson, are a shoo-in to win this hat right here. I cannot wait to crown
Tied
your
for lead
head
right now.
with this hat. You're in the lead. How good do you feel?
Tied for lead. I feel good. I feel really good. We got Saturday night's main event left on the 25th. There will be 4 or 5 matches. Like the last show, pretty predictable in terms of the outcome. It all comes down to the prop bets.
Yeah, man.
And if whoever gets those right at Saturday night's main event is going to be walking away with that hat, hopefully it's me.
We're going to need a big fat tiebreaker as well, Cody Miles.
Yes.
We're going to need it because right now you're tied, I think, with 3 other people for
I have
first.
an idea. I don't know if Cody's watching now. I have an idea for a tiebreaker rather than length of a certain match. Total amount of wrestling on the actual show. So like a 2-hour Saturday night main event is there 45 minutes of wrestling on the show.
Holy shit. Wow. That's
Because
good.
last time there was like 2 12-minute matches and 2 10-minute matches.
Okay. All right.
That's 44 minutes right there.
I like it a lot. I think Larson might have the lowdown. I think he might have a source who's got the rundown and the exact time length of all the matches. That's why he's proffering this, Cody Miles.
No comment.
Larson wants me to crown this, to put this on his head. I just want the content, man. I want you over here because people pop when we're in the same room, Larson.
That's true.
I think that'd be a great going in Raw moment, me putting this on your big old head. Anyways, if you want to participate in this final round of the January Predictions Challenge, if you want to make a statement, put us all on notice right now, go to patreon.com/Steve and Larson. Click on the Friendo Club set. It's $5 a month. Or you can click join like W.S. Fletcher did right here and get a channel membership. Same amount. You get the same stuff. Access to the Predictions Challenge, the question threads, and, of course, all of the bonus episodes we did in the past. Hopefully we'll get back on those relatively soon.
Yes.
Let's talk about this. So they had the big casino gauntlet thing also last night to start off.
Fun.
Those are always fun. We had Jay White, Hangman Adam Page, the first 2 participants. And, of course, the winner of this gauntlet, the casino gauntlet, gets Mox next week at Maximum Carnage. We had Wheeler Yuta in at 3, who got hit him. He got beat up in this match. He immediately got hit with the
he was
blade
in there for the most part to just get beat up.
Yeah. And then Swerve's house rang out, and Hangman looked like he just shit himself. But it was Ricochet's music who kicks in after the Swerve's house stinger. That was awesome. So he comes out. Adam Cole's in at 5. He goes on a run. Daniel Garcia, the TNT champion's in at 6. Hobbs is in at 7. He just starts throwing everybody all around. Roderick Strong comes in at 8. Lance Archer in at 9. Kyle O'Reilly at 10. And Jeff Jarrett was going to be in at 11. Yuta blasts him from behind during his entrance. They fight backstage. And before he is able to come out, he's got his towel over his shoulder. He's starting to come out. Hobbs gets a spine buster on Kyle O'Reilly to get the win. So Jarrett doesn't even get in that match here in his last contract for AEW. Hobbs gets an interview with Mox's wife, Renee, afterwards, where he says he's going to make Jon Moxley his bitch.
Yeah.
And Renee looked pretty put off by that.
She did.
As she would.
Let's talk the women's casino gauntlet match. That's happening next week. And on Dynamite, there's a triple threat. Determine who gets the number one spot in that match. Before that, though, we had a promo from Mariah May where she talks about the gauntlet match. She says, ladies, let's make history by dancing for me like the marionettes you are before I cut your strings and gosh, what did she say? Burn you alive, I think is what she said.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I can't remember. It says cut you, but that's not right. I put cut in here twice. Anyway, she's interrupted by Harley Cameron.
This was hilarious.
Yeah. She says, I know you got a lot on your plate, but why don't we give them an appetizer this Saturday on Collision? And Mariah's like, you're not getting a title shot. And Harley says, fine. Non-title, just you versus me and hot girl graps. And Mariah says, that's fine to me, and I'll rip your head off. And Harley says, you'll feel the wrath. And Mariah says, what? You'll feel the wrath.
Well, she puts it very much under her, but she's like, you'll feel the wrath. She's like, what? What'd you say? You'll feel the wrath. I couldn't hear you. You'll feel the wrath. And then she like rolls her chair away. Harley is hilarious. She is great.
You know, if they ever decide to do the follow-up to the All About Eve story, where Eve has her own Eve, Harley Cameron would be perfect.
You do a much more modern comedic take on it. I think that could be amazing. Yeah,
Harley is so good. She's wildly entertaining.
That could be great.
So the triple threat is next. Statlander gets the win here. So she sends Willow out of the ring and hits Toni Storm with Wednesday Night Fever. And after the match, Toni has an interview with Renee, and she says, I'm not surprised I didn't win. Clearly, I'm not ready. It's just an honor being out there. The Casino Gauntlet is going to be amazing, but it's not for me. I'm going to keep working hard. I guess it can't be Toni time all the time. But she seems really heartbroken about not winning this match.
Yeah. And I love that. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. Why would rookie Toni Storm win that match? So that's good stuff right there.
Oh, gosh. A long Cope promo.
Yeah, dude.
Where he talks about being tougher than Mox. He says he broke his neck in a match against Eddie, wrestled 20 more minutes to win, which is, I'll be honest, an impressive feat.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. When he says the line, and he seems like such a nice guy, but whenever he says this kind of line, no one has fought through what I have fought through just to be in this ring. It's very effective the first 10 times you hear it. I get it. You were out for a very long time.
Yeah.
But you came back 5 years ago. And it's because I'm talking about his long time off. And I know he was gone for a long time recently because he jumped off the top of a cage.
Well, he referenced that. He says he broke his leg and still wrestled 10 more minutes and won.
And landed on his feet.
He says, Mox, as much as I know you're one of the toughest bastards out there, what can you do to me that hasn't been done before? And I'm like, oh, Mox can bring out the hedge trimmers.
You know what Mox should do? He should be like, hey, He should be like
CZW Mox shows up,
Oh my god, the bzzz,
sometimes the hedge trimmers,
It's terrifying.
I know.
Well, you know what else they call those? Edger.
The Edger, yeah.
Get it? Because his name is Edge.
Well, he's got a shirt that says Legend on it.
I know. He should punctuate the edge in it, or is that you think it too close to an IP violation? Because it says rated
it's
R.
already dangerously close to being A, cheesy, B, an IP violation.
Well, it's really A. Legend.
Do you want the Edge and Legend to be larger, or do you want to hyphenate it?
In purple or pink? I'm sorry, not pink. Yellow. Something that stands out.
I don't know, man. I feel like it's already kind of on the razor's edge.
Nothing's going to beat my edger. No, you know what Mox should do? Challenge Cope, the legend, to a cage match, and then during the match, he just gets on the table. Yeah. He's like, come on.
Well, here's the thing. When that happened, Cope won. Cope won when that happened.
Well, now he would know to target the legs.
See, that's really the thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to be joking about this dude breaking his ankles. I really don't. But it is, I get it. You were gone for a long time and you fought really hard.
He goes back to that well a lot.
He does. And I honestly, Cope, the person, I've said this a million times, seems like the coolest guy. And honestly, I'm racking my head. How do you package this so that he is compelling? How do you do that?
I don't know. I mean, part of it is just the nature of the story itself, where Mox is like, hey, mid-card wrestlers in AEW, step your game up so you can be main event wrestlers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cope obviously doesn't fit that mold. He's a
No.
former WWE guy. He's main evented WrestleMania.
I mean, didn't they know they'd be stepping into this when they booked this as a program? Like, yeah, Mox is on this crusade to toughen up the youngsters of AEW.
Here's a dude that's wrestled 20 minutes with a broken neck. I mean,
he is tough. We know this.
Tough.
He wrestled
Grit.
the whole match with a broken leg.
Yes, Cope has grit. We know that. So how is this going to influence the story as relate to Mox and to the rest of the roster? And here's another thing, is Cope says, hey, you took out Danielson. You might have ended his career. You chucked Darby down a flight of stairs, but the really unforgivable thing you did is you laid your hands on FTR.
Yeah. You almost killed the guy. Another guy. But the thing that you shouldn't have done is try to beat up my neighbors.
Yeah.
I think the unforgivable thing is murder, attempted murder. Doing a traditional pro wrestling beatdown, that's kind of the least of the worries here.
Yeah. Anyway, so Cope's interrupted by Death Riders. He's scanning the arena, so Moss, Claudio, and Wheeler make their entrance through the crowd. FTR attacks them right as they're about to hop the barricade. So FTR is brawling with Wheeler and Claudio while Cope and Mox are fighting in the ring. Cope sets up for a spear. Marina Shafir comes down the ringside area. And then Cope brings her up to the apron. Pac rushes into the ring and bashes Cope in the back with the briefcase. Mox then locks on the Bulldog choke on Cope. Claudio and Wheeler lay out FTR. Shafir hands Mox the plastic bag, to put over Cope's head.
Mm-hmm.
Powerhouse Haas music hits. He comes to the ring right as FTR is getting to their feet. Death Riders retreat.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Also, we talked about this at the beginning of the show, and as did Malachi Black, our guest once again, Alistair Malachi. Tom, thank you for being on the show today.
Yes, thank you for your time.
Yeah. Looks like, I mean, if this is any indication, there's either going to be a split or, in fact, he's just gone because Will Ospreay had a terrific match against
fantastic
Buddy Matthews in the opening bout. And he ended up getting the win over Buddy with a hidden blade, but this is one of those just go watch it matches. Really good stuff. After the match, Ospreay gets a mic. He says, "Hey, Buddy, I've admired you from afar.
Hey,
You've wrestled.
You're doing pretty good on your Ospreay."
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll have him call in one of
there.
these days.
He
said, "I've wrestled both Buddy and Brody." Now it's going to be bad because you praised it, so I'm just going to stop. He says, "You guys don't need a leader at all. You can do it by yourself." He says, "Today you wrestled one of the best," me, Will Ospreay. He says, "and I can see tag gold for you and Brody, or if you want, singles gold in your future. And if you ever need a dude in your corner, I'm your guy, mate." And then they shake hands. Buddy barely hesitates. He sort of does the thing where he looks at the crowd, says, "Should I shake his hand?" And then he does. And he's like, "I really appreciate." I think I lip read. He's, "I really appreciate that, mate." And so then Ospreay leaves. So kind of a shame. Are they going to do the thing? Are they going to do the thing where you get a Brody and Buddy pre-filmed, nice gothic looking thing? Maybe Julia's there as well.
Yeah.
And they have I don't know, a mound of dirt next to them to symbolize where Malachi.
Yeah.
They might, if he's gone, they'll do that.
Yeah.
If he's sticking around, we'll just see him again, I guess. I don't know.
Well, he'll be on Instagram Live in no time.
If he's sticking around, I'm shocked that he isn't here yet.
Yeah. We talked about this also. Her Syndicate looking to get those tag titles. So Private Party makes their entrance. They got a little VIP area on stage. So Cassidy says, last Saturday, we made history, the first tag team title match featured on Max and TNT. We walked in as champs, left as champs, so let's celebrate. But they get interrupted by Her Syndicate. And the MVP says, "Oh, we like the party too. We're not all about business. If there was a beef, we'd be beefing already. So let's raise a toast to Private Party. I want to pose a toast to these incredibly talented athletes who successfully defended AEW tag team titles, and Bobby continues, and to the Hurt Syndicate for taking those tag team titles from them." So then all the members of Hurt Syndicate dump out their shots. Bobby makes his way to the ring. He's got a match against Mark Briscoe. You texted me about this match before I watched it. You didn't mention that Mark Briscoe cheated to get the advantage for a spell, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of an important story beat.
Yeah, still, Bobby should have just eaten that alive.
Apart from that segment in the middle where Briscoe, out of sight of the ref, hits Bobby with a chair, strings together 90 seconds of offense to hit a froggy bow, Lashley beat the hell out of him.
Yeah, well, I don't like that 90 seconds. That shouldn't have happened.
I'm just saying. It wasn't as competitive as I thought it was going to be.
Well, that's why you never trust me, buddy. With your giant head-sized jar.
I get it.
Put that jar next to your head. That thing is massive.
If I put it closer, look at that forced perspective.
Look at that. Can we get a split diopter, please, for that?
No, I get the point you were making, and I don't necessarily disagree.
I don't know. I'll be honest. I was probably like half paying attention. I look up and I see Bobby on the floor, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
No, I get it. That Bobby Lashley is someone who should not be having a lot of competitive matches.
I think I was just burnt that he was like, I'm going to go after your tag titles. I'm like, no, go after the attaché case. You could wreck Mox. He's a fool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love Bobby. Bobby's great.
I love Bobby too. He's awesome.
It boggles my mind. He was getting those reactions in WWE, and Triple H was like, "Man, okay, we don't need him here." What?
I don't get it.
Get out of here with that, Paul.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Lashley gets the win. Hurt Lock, and then afterwards, Hurt Syndicate's attacking Mark. Private Party runs the ring with chairs to make the save.
Yep. All right, man. Now it's time of the show. We get to talk about Double J A.
Ain't he great?
Double R Jarrett.
JARRETT.
That's right. Yeah. So after the Gauntlet that he wasn't in, he comes back to the ring, and he says, "It's 2025, and the last outlaw has to ask himself one question: Do I still have what it takes to climb to the top of that mountain?" He loves the mountain metaphor.
He does.
So MJF.
Didn't he invent the King of the Mountain title? And
that's why I'm saying he loves the mountain metaphor.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
So MJF interrupts him. Why isn't he climbing out Everest?
Hey, if he wants a title, just change the Texas Chainsaw Death Match title
to the King of the Mountain title.
Yeah. TNA ain't doing anything with it.
No, they're not. So MJF interrupts. I got to check to see if anybody on eBay has a replica of that one, man. I would buy that shit in a heartbeat.
King of the Mountain?
No, the Texas Death Match.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah. Here, you look at that. I'll go through what MJF had to say here. So basically, he says no one else but him, MJF says this, is really worthy of holding the Triple B except for maybe one man. He says it's Jeff Jarrett. Says, you're a legend here in Tennessee. What you haven't told the people, though, is the contract you signed is only for 1 year. But that's not because that's what you wanted. You don't want to retire. You signed that contract because that's all pro wrestling thinks you have left to give. He says, the way I see it, you only have 1 year to prove that you still got it to make it back to the top of the mountain. He says, Double J, I can help you become champ one more time. All I ask is one tiny favor. When I help you procure my Triple B, I'm first in line for a titled shot. So, Jeff, you want to make a deal? So MJF extends his hand. Jarrett gets the mic and says no. He says, I've been at rock bottom. Life, pro wrestling, has taken me to rock bottom. I know what it's like there. I'm comfortable there, but that gives me the opportunity to scratch and claw my way back to the top of the mountain. Max, you had the chance to enter the Casino Gauntlet, but instead you chose to scheme. Max, I've been on top 12 times and looking for number 13 in 2025, so Max, it comes down to this. I don't need you. Hell no, I don't need you. As far as what you're trying to sell me, I ain't buying you, entitled prick. So he shoves the mic in MJF's chest and leaves.
Can confirm nobody has made that thing the Texas Chainsaw Death Match title.
That's a bummer. Huge missed opportunity.
Huge missed opportunity. Did anybody ever do a New Japan Pro Wrestling TV title? Anybody ever make one of those replicas? Because that's a good looking.
Do you see they officially retired the King of Pro Wrestling title?
Oh, ew. Wait, what? They did?
Yeah.
That was a beautiful looking title too. It was powder blue.
It was
strap.
Powder blue. I like the imaginative stipulations they come up for that.
Yeah, I know. Me too. The one where it was like every fall was a point. I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, there are some really interesting stipulations. The bummer they...
So the strap isn't as orange as I think it should be, but this is a decent replica. It's only $210. That's not terrible.
I'm tempted.
Phil's belts here on eBay. Let's see what else he has. Oh, wow.
Right.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
While you look at that, they also ran a Wrestle Dynasty video package, interviews from the Young Bucks, highlighting Kenny's match, Takeshita's matches over the weekend.
You know, that was the other thing I was thinking of, dude. When I saw this, I was like, wait a second. So Bobby and Shelton have a good chance of getting those titles. You know who's going to beat them when they do come back? The Young Bucks. No, it's not a good thing. Don't raise your eyebrows.
No,
say,
I'm not saying no, maybe. I just hadn't thought about it. That's why.
The appropriate response is, oh, hell.
I don't want it to happen.
Right. Yeah, me neither. Anyway, so yeah, how do you think this whole MJF Jarrett thing is going to pan out, dude?
I don't see Double J beating MJF.
I mean, that's the thing. It's going to lead to a match, right?
Yeah, MJF will probably win it.
What does that do for anybody?
I don't know.
Like, I'm honestly trying to wrap my head around all that.
You know, maybe this is the path they'll take. Jarrett loses to MJF, and then maybe he thinks, well, maybe MJF has a point. Maybe I do need his help to win the title.
Oh, there you go. An MJF Jeff Jarrett alliance?
Or Double J is so desperate, maybe.
I want the T-shirt MJF. That's the name. Favorite customer has it right here, too.
Yep.
I thought about it before they wrote
Ain't they great?
Ain't they greater than you, and you know it.
There you go.
That's so ugly. That's so bad. Oh,
and they'll do the combination of the font they use for MJF stuff plus the font they use for Double J stuff.
Yeah, right. It'll be a mess.
Just an absolute mess. All right, let's talk NXT. Yeah, exactly. The mashup. Let's talk NXT. New Year's
Hey,
Evil.
new champions.
Yeah, we got 3 new champions officially.
Yeah.
Although it's strange, the Heritage Rules Cup was not defended under Heritage Cup rules. It was one fall to the finish.
Yeah,
Anyways.
that was set up. I'm trying to remember if they legit set that up. Or I'm sorry, the reason why they set it up that way last week. And honest to God, I forget. But I think they did say, oh, this is going to be sudden. Yeah, Jack Bauer, sudden death rule. Yeah. Which is just
I knew they set it up. It was just kind of, I forgot when the match started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah,
and they decided to do one fall to finish. So yeah, we got new champions. Obafemi is your new NXT champion after winning the triple threat in the main event. Julia in a fantastic bout.
Boy,
defeated Roxanne Perez in the opening match of New Year's Evil to win the NXT Women's Championship, and then Lexus King after accidentally headbutting Charlie Dempsey in the front area.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was like a leapfrog if you and I tried to execute one.
Exactly. My lack of hops these days. After an accidental headbutt to the front area and one coronation later is your Heritage Cup champion.
And then Stephanie Vaquer is now the number one
American.
contender for Fallon Henley's North American Championship. I have no doubt that that's gonna go around her waist as well. So a new, a changing of the guard, I guess.
Well, they called it at the end of the show when they had Oba and Julia holding those titles, a new era of NXT, which I'd assume is going to mean that Trick and Roxanne are getting called up.
I mean, there's still a couple months before, unless they do transfer window. What do you see as more likely?
They said that NXT was going to be involved in the transfer window.
You see that as more likely than, boy, you know who'd be really happy about that? Carmelo Hayes. Doing a whole lot of nothing right now. You get Trick there. They got some, obviously, there's something there. There's something there. Yeah.
Yep.
I thought New Year's Evil it's just on par with what NXT is bringing these days, which is just fresh stuff, solid cast of characters right there. Yeah. And then it's punctuated by The Rock.
Yeah.
With his promo.
Can you do the Maui Tahoo? Can you do that?
No, God, no. I do voices. Not.
Am I the one that does the sounds?
You do the sounds. You're more like the what was the dude's name in Police Academy?
Michael Winslow.
Michael Winslow. Yeah, you're that guy. Just does the noises.
All right.
I love those noises though. I think that was a big inspiration for me growing up, to be honest with you. When I think back, like, oh, why did I start doing these stupid voices and stuff? Michael Winslow with the
Winslow.
You know,
Yeah.
he would do all sorts of crazy noises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, let's just get into it. So, as mentioned, Roxanne and Julia opened the show. Fantastic bout. Go out of your way to watch this.
It's like a 15-minute, 16-minute match.
Yeah, it was really good. Cora Jade tries to interfere at one point. We get Julia hitting her finisher on the floor. In the end, though, one Northern Lights bomb after Julia hits a running knee gets her the win. She is champion. So then after that match, we cut backstage and Eddie Thorpe is laid out in the stairwell. Trainers come to check on him and Ava walks up. She's like, I ain't buying it.
Yeah.
I ain't buying it. And Eddie's like, no, someone attacked me. So following that, she's asked about a medical update. And she's like, Eddie is fine. Obafemi steps in and says, nope, Eddie's not pretending. Eddie smashed me in the face last week. I was only trying to return the favor. And Ava is seemingly totally cool with Obafemi attacking one of his opponents before a title match. He's like, well, match's going to remain a triple threat. And Oba's like, that's fine. Whether Eddie makes it or not, the results is going to be the same. Obafemi wins again.
Obafemi wins again. Again, I can do that accent because his is fake. That is wild. This dude's going to spend like 20 years doing that accent. Probably keeping kayfabe too. That's wild.
I don't know.
The performance of a lifetime.
Maybe. So the main event, final match of the night. So it was, booked as a triple threat, but most of it was a one-on-one match between Obafemi and Trick.
Yes. Yeah.
So at one point, Oba hits a power bomb, covers, Eddie pulls the ref out of the ring. So then Oba flings Eddie out of the ring, just throws him around, hits a bunch of uppercuts, and then gets hit by a Trick shot. Trick covers, Oba kicks out. So Trick's looking for another Trick shot. Oba sidesteps, and as Oba sidesteps, Eddie Thorpe has a chair. So Trick knees the chair into Eddie Thorpe. Eddie tumbles out of the ring. Trick selling knee. Oba hits powerbomb, covers Trick to get the win. We got a new champion, Obafemi. So then Oba and Julia stay on the stage. They got their titles. And I like this part. So after that, we have a commercial break before the Rocks promo. And it's picture-in-picture, and the camera follows as Oba and Julia go backstage, and they shake hands with everybody in gorilla position.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty cool.
That was cool. No, I like that. I thought that was a good, changing up the presentation a little bit. I thought that was cool. You're right.
I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah.
So let's talk about The Rock. So early in the show, I think right at the beginning, he pulls up at his truck, not with a bottle of tequila, thankfully. Got a can of his energy drink.
Right, but the way he acted the rest of the show makes me think that he had poured out the energy drink and just replaced that with the tequila.
I don't know. I mean, he says, hey, I came here with nothing prepared to say, and it definitely seemed like he came to the arena with nothing prepared to say.
Let me ask you something, and I really want you to think about this, because I know you're an observant person of human behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Between this and the Netflix promo, sort of the conglomeration of them.
Sure.
What's Rock's overall vibe?
His vibe?
Yeah. What's the body language telling you? Because it's kind of telling me something. I can't quite put my finger on it necessarily, but there is like, I want to say almost like a melancholy.
Yeah, because I feel like, apart from Moana 2, which I think did pretty well at the box office, none of his movies lately have done
Moana 2, I was shocked. It like fucking murdered at the box office. It did really well.
It did really well.
Yeah.
So apart from that, all of his movies of late have done crap at the box office. So I feel like there is, I think, a certain amount of melancholy when he shows up at these wrestling events, because I think to a certain extent, he does this because he knows he's going to get validation. He knows he's going to walk through that door, he's going to walk out to that ring, and people are just going to shower him with validation.
Yeah, and he's, between like the stubble, which could be for a movie, or just
What
be
he
he
said.
doesn't shave that day. I don't know, whatever. But like you would think a guy who is as careful with his image as The Rock, if he wanted to polish up, he'd polish up.
He said in one of the Instagram things with Cody, he said he was growing it for a movie.
Oh, okay. It makes sense then. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But, and I honest to God, loved the little segment with him and Ava where he was asking her for advice. I thought that was adorable. I really did. It looked like he was just really enjoying that moment with her, and she was enjoying it as well. And he comes out there, and yeah, there is like an element of he's not going to be involved to the extent that he might want to. And maybe that stems partially from what happened last year. And he's having a good time. He looked like he was having a much better time at NXT than on Netflix. And I think for good reason. I think the Netflix thing was, I got to be corporate guy. I got to thank our billion-dollar partners. And now he shows up in NXT. And I think that the heart of his promo, which, you got to appreciate also, he was cursing up a storm and held to time, which was pretty impressive to the second he held to time because they had a hard out. But it was... the Netflix premiere is a sexy ticket where all the celebrities are going to be. That's the one you need to go to. This is the one you want to go to. And it was kind of from the heart. It felt heartfelt.
It did, yeah. It did.
And he looked like he had a good time delivering that. And he was having a really good time with the crowd. But there did seem to be kind of I don't know, somebody here earlier said something like, MHJ says Rock is giving me passed him by vibes. Like, I'm not going to be the center of attention, but I love being the center of attention.
Yeah.
But I can't fight. He couldn't beat he couldn't politic his way into what he wanted last year.
Yeah.
So
now maybe some of his commitments in Hollywood are going to keep him from having a chance to participate this year.
Yeah.
And then year after year, it's going to get more difficult for it to happen, period.
And it's
He's
just
not getting younger, It's going to be harder for him to train to get ready to get in the ring.
Last year he had the big payout deal and he did the match and it didn't quite go the way he wanted. And who knows if he even would do it even if he could clear up the schedule. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It was just from a human being perspective, it's very interesting to see because like you said, he has had a lot of failures in his big movie career. Now he's still like the most recognizable movie star on the planet. And as we've seen a million times over, these guys can rebound with a quickness.
It could take the MMA movie he just shot, one that the Safdie brothers did.
Maybe he'll get nominated,
if it's a situation where he's like, all right, all these action movies aren't gonna help me stay at the forefront of my peers in Hollywood.
Got to be more careful with what
it's not the first time that someone who has done a lot of the huge budget action movie is like, I'm gonna do a awards type movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To show off my acting bona fides,
And pull a Stallone and just invent his own franchise with his own money on his own dime. Yeah.
I mean, heck, Stallone's done that a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's he was in that movie Copland, which I think, his career had not been doing that great.
Yeah.
Got cast in that. He put on the weight.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, he was like, I'm going to start up my own, The Expendables. He just started up his own franchise. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, there's precedent for someone who's done a lot of tentpole movies and then deciding, all right, well, those aren't working out for me, so maybe I'll just try to do more awards fare.
He definitely comes off like a guy at a crossroads.
Yeah, he does.
He
does.
But it's nice to see him having fun.
Yeah. He did address the Cody thing from Netflix. He was like, a year ago, people are asking, why are you being so mean to Cody? And then last night, everybody's saying, you can't be nice to Cody. And he says, at the end of the day, let us all remind them The Rock is the final boss, thinking 20 steps ahead, and the best thing to do is to shut their mouths and enjoy the ride The Rock is taking them on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I like that. It's fine. Because here's the thing. I saw this one of the comments on one of our shows the other day. Somebody said, he could show up on the SmackDown after the Royal Rumble and attack Cody, and then that'd be the match. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter what happens on Netflix. It does seem, given his language there, that there's the possibility that he's not going to be back. But, you know, if he wanted to, he could probably just snap his fingers and he'd be back, you know, and then we'd be all like, oh, wow, that was fun.
I mean, his closing line here of his promo is, I'm going to go out there. Oh, sorry. He says, I just scrolled past it accidentally. It's, I know what it's like to depend on the crowd. Let me go back a little bit. But it all depends on how you, but you know, he talks about NXT. He says,
he's talking about the locker room, and he says
Yeah.
the girls and the guys back there, in 3 years, they could be main eventing Mania. But as you know, in 3 years, they could be out of the business. But all that depends on how you react to them. Mm-hmm. He says, I've been out on this road. I know what it's like. He mentions the Flex Cavana name. And he says, I know what it's like to depend on the crowd. My job takes me away to a lot of places, but I will always come back home to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which,
So,
again,
yeah.
you could hear that and think, all right, he's not going to be around for Mania. But he'll stop by when he can.
It's The Rock. It's The Rock.
So speaking of Stephanie Vaquer being the new number one contender for the Women's North American title, there was a fatal four-way where she faced Kalani Jordan, Lola Vice, Cora Jade. Another really good match.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Stephanie gets the win after hitting Kalani with her package backbreaker finisher. And then later on, Shotzi pins Fallon Henley in a 6-woman tag match that saw Shotzi, Gigi, and Tatum beat Fatal Influence. So we're backstage, and Ava's talking to Stephanie and Fallon, saying, all right, Stephanie, number one contender, let's set up this match. Shotzi steps in and says, I just pinned Fallon, so I can make the case I'm number one contender. And Stephanie's like, hold up, I won tonight, and I did it all by myself. So Fallon says, y'all figured this out. I'm out of here. So Ava says, all right, we'll figure this all out next week. So I'm guessing we're going to get Shotzi versus Stephanie next week.
Yeah, it seems to be the case. I don't think Shotzi's going to win that one, though.
Probably not. Then Javon Evans talks the fallout of the Ethan Page attack. He's got his jaw wired shut.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, I can't sleep, can't eat, can't talk, but I'm going to find Page for what he did to Cedric, for what he did to me. I'm going to make him feel my pain.
Mm-hmm.
So then later on, Ethan's talking to Ava, and she was like, you know, did you see what Javon had to say? And he's like, yeah. And that moment is played on every episode of NXT since it happened. He said, but for some reason, I'm nowhere to be found on the show tonight. Ava says, this is my show. I call the shots. Rock steps in. So Ethan turns towards him. Rock says, hey, it's good to meet you. I heard that you broke Javon's jaw. He says, you know, payback's going to be a bitch. He says, but if you need anything, you come to me. One more thing. I'm the final boss, but on NXT, Ava's the final boss. So if you and me are going to be cool, then you and her need to be cool. And Paige says, we're cool. And Rock says, all right, I'll see you in the main roster someday. So Paige leaves, and Ava says, you know, NXT is all about the moments. You got a moment coming up. What are you going to say out there? And Dwayne says, I don't know. Do you have any advice? And Ava says, NXT's crowd's passion is different. You're going to feel exactly what you're going to say. And The Rock says, I'm going to go out there and feel it. Say it from the heart.
I loved seeing Ethan Page with The Rock because you're just looking at this guy and he's like, this is the biggest moment of my career. And I've been doing this for 18 years. You know, I'm in a scene with The Rock. Like, it's no, look, they didn't just pick a dude at random to do the scene with The Rock. So it's understandable that he would look a little bit on the starstruck side.
Yeah.
He held up as well as could be expected.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then Lexus King in a sudden death Heritage Cup match wins again. After mentioned, accidentally headbutts Charlie Dempsey. Charlie's going for a leapfrog, and Lexus just didn't get his head low enough. Inadvertent low blow, and he hesitates, like, I don't know if I should hit my finisher or not, but then he does and gets the win.
What do you think that says about the story for Lexus King going forward? Because this was not a definitive win because there was a accidental low blow.
Yeah.
Are they going to run this back again?
I would expect, because I wouldn't be surprised if Charlie Dempsey says to him, I know you didn't mean to do it, but You didn't hesitate that much to take advantage of the situation. Are you really the good guy you want to be? And Lex is like, oh gosh, I need to prove that I'm not my father's son. So yeah, let's run it back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have good matches, so I wouldn't mind seeing that.
No, I wouldn't either.
I already mentioned the Fatal Influence versus Shotzi, Gigi, and Tatum match. Of course, Shotzi got the pin on Fallon. And then backstage, we've also got new tag title contenders because Ava talks to the Unholy Union, says that next week they're going to face Lash and Jakara. The winner will get a women's tag title shot. And OTM drops a promo talking about winning the #1 contenders match last week and facing Fraxium next week, saying they're going to win the titles. Do you like their odds, Larson?
No.
Neither do I. Okay, so EW says it just came out. Malakai is officially done with AEW. I don't know if this is...
Do you have a source on that?
EW, do you have a source on that? I don't have any of my socials up right now.
Yeah, I don't see anything offhand on my socials here.
All right. Well, we'll find out soon enough. But until then, let's go ahead and answer some questions.
Let's answer some questions. Excuse me. Let me pull up the question thread here on the Patreon.
Okie doke. Let's see here.
There we go. All right. Shavon here says, what if Alistair returns to be Rey Mysterio's tag team partner as a favor to Zelina Vega?
Oh, there you go. Okay, here we go. Maggie says she's got... This is a Wrestle Talk as of 2 hours ago. Let me do this.
This is seemingly the Fightful Select stuff.
All right. I want to hear from... he always says, if it doesn't come from me, it's not true. So we'll see. Nikyle here says power rank top 3 theme songs in NXT.
What are some standouts?
I like Tricks.
Yeah, Tricks is good.
Tricks is a really good one. Trying to think of any of the others that are like...
The original Gallus theme.
Hey, yo, whoa.
Not the new one, the original.
Oh. Hey,
yeah.
EW says Pro Wrestling Insider reported he's finishing up.
Okay.
So that's several sources.
Yeah.
Meltzer has said that his people say that too.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, whoa. Okay, so the original Gallus theme. I don't want to go back. Let's just stick with like ones that are now, current ones.
Oh, all right.
God, honestly, none of them. I can't think of it. Oh yeah, Ego.
No, I can't stand that one.
I don't dislike the Ego one. I think that's all right.
The Ego sounds like it's out of tune. Nate Cruz says, "What sneakers would you want to see Roman have customized next?"
Oh wow.
Some Nike or Jordan brand shoes.
I'd like some like Jordan 4s. I like the 4s.
He's worn not customized one, but he's worn 4s for like in-ring promos and stuff.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want to see some custom ones.
He seems to like the high tops though, for the ankle support while wrestling. So I'm trying to think. I think it's the 28s that Batista used to wear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. That
have the higher ankle collar. So maybe some of those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tymore here says, which current AEW wrestler would benefit from having a mullet?
Current AEW. Nathan Frazier.
AEW wrestler, Steve.
Ben Carter.
There you go.
AEW wrestler? Who would benefit from having it? I'm like re-racking my brain here. Bald. No.
What about Chris Jericho?
Oh my God. It would kind of fit, to be honest with you.
Exactly.
Big Bill could have a mullet.
Yeah.
Big Bill with the mullet.
Yeah.
Maggie says Cope. Cope's already got kind of a mini mullet.
He does have a bit of a mullet going, yeah.
He's got a bit of a mullet. It's a very frizzy one. Dax. FTR bald.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see here.
Boiler Dog here says that we literally, so the other day we need to start, I guess, promoting this bet of ours, this Del Taco bet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because Boiler Dog here says, what's the bigger money match? Cody versus Cena or Punk versus Roman? I say it's Punk Roman. It's
Cody
the
Cena.
OTC. Throw your ones up for your tribal chief, Larson.
Chance to win the 17th
You're
title.
not throwing your one up for your tribal chief? Wow.
I always throw my one up for my tribal chief.
There you go. Roman Reigns. That's right. Roman Reigns.
But no, Cena going after number 17 against Cody? No,
That's
that made events
nothing.
WrestleMania.
Nothing compared
that made events WrestleMania.
to Roman and CM Punk.
The match only happened to Roman and Punk because of a favor.
Let me ask you something. Big favor. What main event of the last WrestleMania we went to?
It was Roman and Undertaker because it was supposed to.
Exactly.
Because it was
Throw your
supposed to
ones
be
up.
the Undertaker's last match.
Throw
That's
your
why.
ones up. Throw
It
your
was
ones
supposed
up.
to be Taker's last match. That's why it made evented.
Phil's a big
This is
deal.
Cena's last WrestleMania for
Let me
number
ask you
17.
something.
Main events night 2.
Who did David Zaslav refer to as One Bill Phil?
That was as it relates to the Warner Brothers Discovery family of networks.
The answer, of course, is CM Punk.
Yeah. Daniel Solorzano, says, as someone who started watching in 2010, what is some good old school wrestling matches I should watch?
So that predate 2010?
Yeah. Macho Man and Steamboat, WrestleMania 3.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gosh, there's a lot.
Yeah. The last Battle of Atlanta.
Yeah, I thought about that one too.
Yeah. Honestly, just get on YouTube and search like NWA 1986 and watch some of that stuff. I love watching
you can
those
watch
old
like all the
territory
Kings
stuff.
Road stuff too. That all predates 2010.
That's so grim to watch. So all those dudes had messed up necks by the end of their careers. They just really would mess each other. But there you go. MHJ says HBK Triple H SummerSlam 02.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Razor Ramon versus HBK Mania 10. Clown says RVD versus Jerry Lynn Living Dangerously 99.
Or RVD John Cena One Night Stand 2006.
Anything RVD in the 90s.
There you go. Jimmy Thomas says, with potential of Omega going through the Callis family, should it end with him taking the international title off Takeshita or putting over Fletcher? Kenny shouldn't be losing a whole lot of matches.
Kenny shouldn't be losing to anybody in 2025 at all. Except, no. He shouldn't lose to anybody.
Alex Foster here says, Lexus King won the cup on the same episode. NXT got almost 1 million viewers. Is this proof that the intellectuals are a force to be reckoned with?
I don't know that term, but I do know the Lex offenders are eating good these days, Larson. Nom.
It's good that he got the win there,
yeah. Patrick Cheeseman says, what kind of sandwich would you offer a wrestler to become their best friend?
Wow, great question. Italian beef sandwich.
Wow.
Dipped.
I think that'd get the job done.
With the hot peppers.
Dude, I'd go with a loaded French dip with some au jus.
What do you put on a loaded French dip? Do you put the horseradish on there with the grilled onion? Is that what you're talking about?
I'm not a horseradish guy, but generally speaking, it's it's like onions and then maybe like Swiss cheese.
Give me some,
I think
like
that makes
horseradish, where you get the horseradish on there, where you take a bite and it like clears your sinuses, but then dissipates really quick. Oh, that's so good.
I know people out there love it. I'm not a big horseradish guy,
so
but
good.
boy, oh boy, I like a good French dip. I tell you what, man.
Masto Jira here says, what is your favorite match from the first week of 2025?
Oh, hell. Kenny Gabe Kidd?
Yeah, I got to watch that still.
I would say that.
I guess Tribal Combat, because that's probably the best match I've seen since the beginning of the year.
Well, there you go.
That was
This is a good question. Optimus Crime says, if Aleister Black comes back to WWE, other than restarting a feud with Big E, who would you like to see him have a story with? You know what? Andrade. They got history.
They do.
They've got connections. And Andrade needs to do a something.
Yeah.
Got to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't
Alistair and Phil. Tom and Phil.
Yeah, you want to see Tom and Phil?
I want to see Tom and Phil.
Luis here says, who are some underappreciated backstage names that helped wrestling? Historically speaking?
I guess. Kevin Sullivan? Watts.
Bill Watts? Probably not.
Jim Crockett, promoter.
Well, his name was in the name of the promotion. Probably not underappreciated. You know what? This is all based on watching the Tales of the Territories.
Yeah.
But in terms of how Jerry Jarrett established kind of the language of sports entertainment in the world of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Maybe Jerry Jarrett.
Jerry Jarrett. There you go.
Because a lot of what he was doing in Memphis is what apparently Vince took and applied to WWF.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be, man.
That's my understanding. If that's wrong, then disregard. But
I wasn't around, man. I don't know. I don't know who's saying what back there.
like again, I think it's just from Tales of the Territory. I think it might have been Jeff Jarrett who said it. So. I'm trying to find an answer to the question, man.
Dixie Carter. Vince Russo, bro.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Jim Cornette. How about that? Oh, man. That's all the questions I have here.
All right. Let's see. Sir Featherstone says, which current member of the roster do you think has the best attire?
What current member? What are we talking about?
Which roster?
Rocking like when they're coming to the show or when they're
Or
in the
just
ring?
Like what they wear generally, their actual wardrobe.
Maggie says Billy Corgan. Out on tour with the Smashing Pumpkins.
Nature kids. They don't have no function.
Don't really
understand what they mean, and I could really give a fuck. Zondo says Penta, and that's always a good answer because this gear is always top notch.
Oh yeah, man, Penta.
Dad 7 says, could the Bloodline become WWE's version of the Bullet Club with different factions within the group and a rotating lineup? As long as they stay relevant, then maybe. But that's one thing Bullet Club's trouble to do.
What was the question again? What? Sorry.
Could Bloodline become WWE's version of the Bullet Club?
Sure,
Is
man.
it
Why not?
still for real?
Yeah. I'm right now on Tom Budgeon's Instagram. And so far he's got 2 stories right now. One is him promoting a Coastal Championship wrestling match that he's going to be a part of. And it says right here, I don't do many independent bookings, so make sure to come in and enjoy some wrestling and meet some of the younger stars of tomorrow.
Oh, look at that. Putting over the younger stars of tomorrow.
And then 4 hours ago, he posted a picture of a House of Black tattoo that somebody got.
All right.
So far, what is this? There was a post here. When was this? Oh, no. That was December. Man, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So far, all quiet, which bodes well for people who want him in the Rumble.
Maybe. All right. Those are the questions I have.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the show today. Look at us. Over an hour and a half on this one. Wow.
A lot to talk about, I suppose.
A lot to talk about today. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show. Tomorrow morning, we're going to be doing our latest episode of Count Out. Wrestlers who are going to have a really good 2025.
Yeah, we'll have the best 2025. We're not doing the opposite of that list because that's messed up.
Well, not on this channel. But we're going to start
whatever you do in your spare time.
A burner podcast.
I ain't going to be involved.
Let's really quick run down who's going to have the worst 2025. Damian Priest, Gunther. Hey, Gunther.
Seth Rollins.
Oh, don't say Maggie's here. Don't say that.
It's not that I want it to happen.
It's probably going to happen, though. He's going to win that. He's on one hand, he's going to win the title from Gunther, but then Larson.
But he's going to be a transitional champion, though.
Oh, fuck. Wow. You used the T word.
I don't want it to happen.
He's going to drop that to Punk. And then, of course, tomorrow night we've got our SmackDown review. And there you go. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Maggie says
also, we
that's
got
okay.
Sorry.
She says the episode from yesterday about him being the Bret Hart of today killed my soul because I never gave a fuck about Bret. Wow, Maggie shooting hard. Shooting from the hip on Bret Hart.
Also, we got us reacting to Dave Meltzer's star ratings for Raw on Netflix.
That's right. That's right. I think, am I in the hot seat?
You are.
No, I feel another donut coming on, man.
Here's the thing, Steve. See, this is why you should look at it from a positive point of view. I got 3 of 8 last time, right?
Yeah.
Which 3 as overall number for us is pretty good, but as a percentage, pretty meh.
Okay.
If you get 2 of the 4, that's 50%.
Man, I ain't getting 2 of 4.
That's a much better average than either of us have had in a very long time. And that only takes getting 2 right.
I have 4 opportunities, though. Not a lot of opportunities there.
I mean, every one is important, but it just takes getting 2 right, and you're going to look like you and Meltzer's Cotros are just aligned.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I haven't been feeling it lately. I love doing them, but man, I've been doing really terribly lately. So I don't know my edge. I got to find my edge. That's what I got to find. Because I'm no longer a edge end.
You need to ask yourself, Meltzer, you think you know him?
That's going to do it for the show, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. On this day, Smashing Pumpkins. Going.